My name is Davy. I have a booking agency called IDVI, and we're based in the Netherlands. And I'm here today to talk about the Benelux industry and the market for touring musicians. And I'm really happy that I got invited by Peter from HOTS. So yeah, thanks for the invitation.
So, why did you start your agency? What was the reasons behind it? What did you do before that?
Well, the reason to start the agency is mainly because I was in bands and I thought I wanted to get shows myself. So I just started booking the shows myself, and eventually it turned out into a booking agency. I worked at other booking agencies as well, more in the metal tribute genre. I started there, and then after that I felt like, okay, I want to go in a different direction with the artists that we work with, because it's not necessarily based on the commissions that you take of an artist and of a show, but with every band you work in or roster, we have to feel a personal connection. And working for another agency, that makes it more difficult because you're given bands or an acts to work on. So we started our own agency with our own vision towards, mainly based on the passion that the artists have. And if we feel the same passion, we work on the acts and we work on their touring. So that's how we started, and that's also the reason why we started.
Yeah, and do you still have time to make music and play live?
Once in a while. Still have the same problem. I want to play more, but
Yeah, you wanted to play more, and you made an agency, and you are way too good with booking shows, and now you don't have time to play live.
Yeah, maybe I need another booking agency to play more, but
Yeah.
No, yeah, I still have time to play. You know, maybe some of you guys are familiar with the name And My Guard, which is my wife, Esther Anna, who's also part of the agency. She mainly does all the pre-productions of shows, and she takes care of PR for albums, singles for independent artists, but also for labels in some cases like First Club, and recently for Pelagic as well. So yeah, we have time to play soon.
Yeah. So, tell me about your top bands at the agency. Who are your most favorites? I know you are working with Antimatter, who are a big favorite for me, but tell us more, and tell us more about the genres you are working with. And how many bands you have right now?
We have quite some bands. I don't know if people looked up our roster on our website, but you can see that there are quite some acts on our roster. But the roster is kind of divided in two parts, because we work as an agency who provides European tours for, I think, like 5-6 acts combined with Dutch artists that we book. They have our full attention. And there are like 20-25 acts that we book just for the Netherlands or just for the Benelux via other agencies, like a Swamp agency or like Doomstar, for instance. Not Doomstar, but other agencies. Favorites is a little bit difficult, because if you ask me about the top artists, it could be, there are artists in our roster that are our favorites, but they sell 50 tickets, and there are artists that are our favorite and they sell 500 tickets. So that's not really the point. But at this point, I think one of my favorites that I really like working with and that I'm very enthusiastic about is Oh Hiroshima, which we together booked at Duurket last December. Yeah. Of course, Turks, have the Hungarian pride going on. And I'm doing co-management for Tim Akkerman. He is a Dutch artist, more in Americana, more singer-songwriter kind of vibe. And I think you might know him as the previous singer of Direct, one of the top Dutch bands at this point, which we're working a lot on. And there are many acts that we really like New Candies from Italy. A lot. Belcanto from Norway.
Yeah,
there are many.
Okay, I see a few musicians here. So, tell us more about your booking or signing policy. So, how you decide on to sign an artist or not, or what do you ask from them when you are starting negotiations?
Difficult question, because we get quite a lot of emails and inquiries about being part of IDVI, which is of course amazing that we're in this position and that we get a lot of requests from bands, so we can also see what's going on in the scene, and you can see what's going on. For me, because of course there's a team behind it, but for me it's most important to see a proper view. and a vision within the band. And also, what I always really like to see, and you can most of the time see it right away, is if a band has like a team within the band. For instance, you have 3 band members. Every band member has a task. I really always like to see that, because then you know, okay, everybody in that band is going into the same direction, and you know, communication will be probably, and not necessarily flawless, but it will be quick, and people know what to do within the band. Somebody's taking care of pre-production, somebody's taking care of the marketing, and somebody's taking care of that, probably the whole vision, or probably subscribing to showcase events or whatever, you know. That's what I really like to see. Plus, the most important is the musical connection. We always want to, we try to always see it live and meet the people in person behind the band, and then decide if we want to work together. That's the most important thing, because I said this, I think, today earlier, but we're not really working with just music or just musicians, or we're not just working on the band and booking shows, but we're working with people's passion and expectations. So that has to be in line what we can offer, or at least what we set as a goal. And if that matches with the expectations, then we will work it out, and then it can be a process of a year or 3 years or 5 years before we reach this goal. But that has to be clear. That's very important for us.
And is there a minimum amount of shows they have to do each year?
Like the agency, or
No, the band.
No, it depends. Like if you see like Hiroshima, for instance, from Sweden, it's a post-rock band. They have work, children, and they're pretty known. But they're not going to tour like, let's say, 100 shows a year, because it's just not possible. So it's very efficient. You know where the audience is, so you're going to bring your music and your show to this audience. That's the goal. In some cases, you have bands that are going to try to reach a new audience. So there should be more shows, so it's less efficient to reach all the audience that will probably connect with you. But yeah, there's never a minimum or a maximum of shows. In some cases, it happens that they say like, okay, we need 5 shows minimum for this price. And then we say like, okay, we can try. But you're never guaranteed of it. So we never try to put like quota on it.
And when you give feedback to a band, like okay, you are expecting way too much. What did you experience so far? Like are they eager to amend their expectations, or you just say goodbye?
Nah, in most of the cases, it's an open conversation, and there's still the goal that you've set, which is becoming more successful, or reaching a new audience, or getting new major festival spots, for instance. So, yeah, if it doesn't work within 1 year, then it might work within 2 years, or it might need a new release, or it might need new branding or new content or whatever, you know? So, no, there have never been cases that people said like, yeah, you can't get 5 shows, then we say goodbye. It never really happened, unless like from our side, it's like, okay, these expectations are too high, or they're like the fee, not because it's ridiculous, but maybe production costs for a band are very high, and if we book Benelux, the band is just not known enough, or it's too risky for venues, so you're stuck with door deals. Then it might be the case that we say like, okay, maybe it will be better to or do it by yourself or search for another agency. But never really happened, to be honest.
Yeah, okay, I just formed a new band outside when I was waiting for you, and I want to tour in the Benelux. Let's work together.
How many shows do you want?
70 per year.
All right, search for another booker.
No cities, because we are really eco-friendly.
Then travel by train.
Yes, absolutely.
Or pay more for a flight ticket to reduce your footprint.
So I guess you are getting approaches like this as well. So like unknown acts, or very new acts who only played locally so far, or don't have an international career, but they are somehow focusing on the Netherlands or Benelux. What do you ask from them, and how do you start the negotiations with them?
And it's difficult, to be honest, because we get like I mentioned, we get quite some requests like that. Just we need a booking agency, but my question would be like, why do you need a booking agency? It could be like, yeah, we want more shows, but what's the reason that you want more shows? That's the first question. Why would you want to tour?
And why here?
Yeah, and why here? Yeah, that could be that. Hopefully, they have a reason for it. But the first thing we always ask, like, if there come to also bands that are within our roster that ask, like, okay, we want to tour in this period. Yeah, why? Is it a long time ago since you toured and you have to go to this particular audience again or your fans? Is there an album release? Is there a reason to promote something? So, yeah, these are mainly the first questions that we ask. Like, why are you going to tour? And why are you going to tour? And why do you want to play in, let's say, Rotterdam? Why?
Or friends played there.
Yeah, good for them. But it's it could be like maybe you have your Spotify stats and you have Spotify for artists and you see like, okay, in the Netherlands, the main city will be Rotterdam. Or it will be like, okay, we are more in a post-punk genre, for instance, and we see like Left of the Dial Festival, which is held in Rotterdam, organized by Rotown venue. They're focusing on post-punk. We see a New Wave Festival in Rotterdam. Probably the scene is there, so we should go to Rotterdam. That's a good reason.
Yeah, like we don't have a label, but our genre is popular in the Netherlands or in Rotterdam. So what's the next step? Are you dealing with us even if you don't have a label?
Yeah, of course. A label is not necessary for touring. There are a lot of independent bands that decide to keep being independent because of, that's another topic, I think, with labels, because in some cases it's more efficient to do it by yourself. And it doesn't necessarily mean that with a label you're more successful, I think.
Yeah, I
Till
agree.
a certain point, it could be, but
Yeah, but sometimes they are not really caring about live activities or don't have the capacity to support this. This was the reason I asked this, because I guess you are facing it often.
yeah, no, I think there are exceptions, because if we work with quite some bands that are signed to Fuzz Club, that works. That's a community. There's a fan base around the label. So when we book a band, for instance, let's say New Candies from Italy, they're assigned to Fuzz Club. We know it will be easier to promote and target for marketing via venues, because they immediately understand, okay, this band comes from Fuzz Club, so it's kind of a frame where we can target in, or what the genres that are connected to it are, so we can, with their meta advertisements, whatever, they can target them really well.
And in case my band gets booked a show in the Netherlands or more shows, what are the best promo methods? Like, because Hungary is really Facebook focused, and I want to see how the communication is being set up in the Netherlands.
Yeah, also Facebook Meta, of course, because it's 50% of the job. I think it's also very important to provide. I go back one step. After a show being booked, I go one step further, even back. I think we first have to talk about how the Benelux is organized, to be honest, because we're now talking about Benelux.
But because these people are here to hear more about Benelux.
I think we have to go there first, because, of course, Benelux, Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg. Luxembourg is Luxembourg City. That's it for playing, and mainly Mondays during a tour. Netherlands is like it's an interesting country. If you see like of the infrastructure and the facilities for live music there's so much. Every 30 kilometers has a major city and has a venue of probably 200, 600, and maybe 1,000 capacity, and often combined with a library, a cinema, and a venue. So not necessarily with a huge vibe going on, but perfect facilities, marketing team, pre-production team, everything is sorted out. In Belgium, is divided in two languages, of course, because you have the French-speaking part and you have the Dutch Flemish-speaking part, which mainly the Flemish part is very well organized in, let's say, Antwerp as a key city, with the major venues like a Trix or other venues, and you have Brussels and Liège and Charleroi. But less infrastructure already. If you talk about the Netherlands, where we started, and that's why I want to continue on for PR and marketing. If you talk about the Netherlands with these marketing teams, I think it's very, very important, once a show gets confirmed and you want to have the perfect marketing for your own band, for your own show, you have to have the perfect EPK with video content. Like, within 30 seconds, live footage, show why should you be there. Also for people, even after the show has been or has been held, still promote it. Why were people not there? I think that's a very big part of how to encourage your audience to come to your next show, or at least to start following you and start checking for the next date. I think that's very important. It has not completely anything to do with the show itself, but I think there are a lot of examples nowadays with successful bands that are doing this and taking really good care of their online marketing, such as Dirty Sound Magnet as an example. They take it to a next level, and I think that's very important to do that, because now the shift has been going on for already years, of course, but the time that you could confirm a show and your next step would be play the show, that time is over. You have to promote the shows yourself in a way as well. Also from Hungary, and you're going to play in, I just heard Dortmund. Like, if you're going to play there, promote your own show in Dortmund via Meta. Even with new releases via Spotify, they just released the new campaigns with Showcase, Marquee that you can use. I think that's very important to start using that as well to target that audience.
Yeah, so basically you're saying that the local promoters or venues are using their own channels to promote the show, and they're not gonna use your Facebook channel to start ads. It's your task, because here it's a bit different. Like if an international artist is coming to Budapest, we are normally using their channels with dark posts, ads and things. So. So it's not really working in.
Of course, yeah, with dark ads, of course, the venues do that. Yeah, they promote and use the meta and the advertisements via the channels of the artist, of course. But I think in any case, it's very good for an artist to promote it themselves as well, because via the venues, it's like probably the same people will see the same content, or at least multiple shows, probably even in your genre. These are the same people getting targeted. So I think that's why it's important to do it yourself via the band and the channels as well.
Okay. What I see in Hungary, that if I play with my band in a smaller club, the labor costs and the energy costs are insanely high, and which just sucks the space from playing live in a small club, because the small club is getting more and more expensive. And in the Netherlands, you even have a better infrastructure. What's the deal? How can you do so many small and medium-sized club shows? How are these venues being supported?
Well, in the Netherlands, of course the prices for energy costs and their big venues, of course, it's getting really high. So renting a club is going to be impossible because the costs are way too high. And even for just door deal shows in the major venues, it's not fun, because the break-even point will be pretty high. But most of the venues are funded by the government. So yeah, that's how they can keep their head above the water. That's it. So that's the same, I think.
Yeah, when I was there, I was not only in Germany, but basically in West Europe. I was trying to get door deals, because I was there with an artist first time. So I thought it's fair, but none of them really wanted the door deals, except like one club in Netherlands. So why are they against door deals? Because of the funding system. So is it better for them to offer smaller guarantees?
Yeah, or just what you have quite some venues like FNA, for instance. It's just sold out offer. In many cases, it's a sold out offer. Like the door deals are possible, of course, with a lower guarantee plus accommodation. Accommodation costs are pretty high in the Netherlands as well, especially in the major cities. And if you travel with a band with 9 people, it's going to be tough. But yeah, I mean, what was the question? The first question you asked?
About the deal types. So
the deal types.
What are these smaller clubs usually offering to artists who are on tour?
Yeah.
Let's focus on smaller clubs.
Yeah.
Because that's the entry point for most of the Hungarian artists as well.
Now, for the smaller clubs, it's door deals are possible, probably with a guarantee, something, or a buyout for accommodation. But yeah, many times also just a fixed fee. So it's a sold out offer. This is what you get, and that's it. You won't earn anything after a break even point, or after, say, like 60 tickets sold. That's not really happening, except for the bigger venues. They do that, of course. But then the break will be probably around 300, or if you have a capacity of 400, the break will be at 380, for instance.
And at an average Dutch club, what is the percentage of paid crew and volunteers? Because we have a lot of people working there. But this is what I always saw there, and it makes you curious. How you cannot pay so many crew.
Yeah, there are a lot of volunteers, of course, which is amazing because otherwise these shows wouldn't go on, of course.
What are the typical tasks or jobs they are giving to volunteers?
Catering. Yeah, like mainly the paid jobs within these venues are of course production, marketing, promoter. These are, and director, of course. These are mainly the paid most paid jobs, but the rest, volunteering is from sitting at the door to doing the catering, doing the artist handling. These are mainly the jobs that are for volunteering. And a lot of Dutch venues have their own festivals as well. So it becomes like a community, and they're all behind this venue. There are examples of people working there for 40 years as a volunteer. And I think that's like the strength of truly having a live culture. So that's truly going on in the Netherlands. And same for Belgium. There is even more driven on volunteering. And I can go a little bit deeper on that because like we just mentioned, like in the Netherlands, you have a huge infrastructure and everything is sorted out really well. But the entry level for artists, if you just say like, okay, we want to tour in the Netherlands, not likely that you're going to enter in a venue like that. But in Belgium, there it's amazing because there it's truly based mainly on volunteering in small clubs, like places like, there's like people hang out there just regularly, just to listen to music even. So it's like a hub.
More like pubs?
Yeah, but then made for live concerts or parties or whatever in cities, villages around cities. And these are truly cool to start. And they have a very alive live culture with a steady fan base already around these places. And that's really interesting.
So it's more common to just go out to your favorite place on a weekday and just see what's on there, and even you can. So people are just going there and they're buying tickets for unknown bands. This is what you're suggesting?
More than in the Netherlands, yes. Well, buying tickets just for unknown band, that I think that time is over a little bit. I think that's at least in the Benelux.
But something about
in Belgium the entry point is lower because in the Netherlands, if you want to go to a show for a smaller band, you will probably already pay like €12.50, and in Belgium that might be €5, and you get a free drink. In these places. So it's more easy to go there and still discover live music in these places. That's what I'm trying to say. Like in the Netherlands, we have it as well. We have a lot of places, not a lot, maybe 10 in the whole Netherlands, with places that okay, if you want to go to live music, you want to see it, you want to see good international bands as well. There are like places where you can go for free and there's a band playing. But these are also part again of a community, of a bigger festival that are hosting these shows. And in Belgium, it's just by themselves. They're there for already 50 years and they're still doing it.
Okay. Let's see if there is an indie band from East Europe. Which should be their focus cities in these two countries, or you can include Luxembourg as well.
Yeah, then I would immediately go for the key cities, and then I'm talking about Amsterdam, Utrecht, Rotterdam, The Hague, and say Nijmegen probably. And for Belgium, that is Brussels and Antwerp. And since lately, it's pretty interesting, by the way. Charleroi is in the Flemish-speaking part. They say it's becoming the new Berlin. It's like an old nuclear plant stuff. It's like everybody left. You have places like that. Everybody leaves because there's no work anymore and people don't want to live next to a nuclear plant. But it's all these big buildings, they're now renovating them and putting venues in it. So a little bit like Berlin kind of style. And that's a very cool place to play now. And it's very low entry, small clubs to big clubs.
That is mostly privately owned or like cultural centers or youth centers?
I think privately owned, these ones in Charleroi, the new ones.
Mm-hmm.
If you talk about Brussels or Ghent or Antwerp, there's governmental buildings, of course, where they put in several venues and like a theater, for instance, cinema.
And what's the most important press where you need to appear to get booked in the Netherlands, to get noticed at least?
Like press, like online or offline.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a good question. That's a really good question, by the way. Thank you. There are several. I have to say, like for Belgium, the main press media in that case will be Dansen de Beren. If you like for Belgium, the most important one I think is still Radio Brussels. That's like they're still actively promoting alternative music as well, plus also hosting like not like talent shows where they are highlighting new artists or with new releases, upcoming artists, and giving them a spot. Also sometimes in their studio with live sessions. It's like almost the KEXP of Belgium, but then from yeah, it's also a radio station, of course. That's a really good one. And for the Netherlands, it depends a little bit on the genre, because we still have huge metal magazines like a Metal Hammer, like you have in Hungary.
Yeah.
But also like you have several for just the mainstream-ish alternative music, which are called Lust for Life, Sounds, and Oor. These are like the biggest ones.
Okay, thank you. I couldn't remember all those, but let's hope they
I'll write it down.
or you can tell them after the set. Festival first or club first? What are the chances? Are festival bookers going to these club shows?
If you invite them, yeah, I would do that.
They reply. Are they replying to you? Obviously. So if the band is contacting them, then most likely not. But if you are contacting them as a local agent, then the band has more chances. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because it's built on trust. Of course, the whole relationship and the network you have, in this case, as a booking agent, that's built on trust and over a long-term relationship that you've been there for like a certain amount of years and didn't disappear. So they can trust you in a way. But festival or club first? Ideally, festival first, to be honest, because the risk of going to a foreign country and try to sell tickets, if you do that, and that's risky and you have a lot of responsibility. And if it doesn't work out, it probably takes another release to come back. So it's a big investment if you just go and try to play and try to sell tickets for 10 euros. I would suggest to first focus on festivals or on support shows or showcase shows. Or like in the Netherlands, there are a lot of venues that are trying to promote new music with memberships. So for instance, as an example, you have the Bosuil in Weert, is 650 capacity venue. Every month or like twice a month on a Thursday, they have a night with 2 or 3 bands, and people buy 1 ticket a year for like, I think 80 euros or something, and they can go to 15 or 20 shows. So it's like, if they see something popping up in a genre, they can just go and attend these shows. And these are very interesting shows to play as a foreign act, and that's where they're also focused on.
Yeah, and then you will also know a lot about your own audience, because you will see which shows are they attending. So it's a nice way of community building as well, and also giving chance to new bands.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, there's a funding behind it, so it's possible, and these venues invest in it as well. So for instance, what we did lately, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we had a Swiss band called Lone Assembly over to the Netherlands, and we did 2 like these membership shows. And it draws like 100 people, and it's an incredible good start for the first time in the Netherlands. You see a new audience. They add, for instance, a Dutch act as a support, and they connect. They stay connected, and you immediately have that audience. You can test it, your show in another country. Plus, you can, if you do it smart with mailing list and with if you try to activate this audience, they will stick to you. And if you announce your next show, hopefully they will come again, and you expand.
Okay. Let's focus on some more familiar names. So I know that you've been working with Lazarus and Törzs. Tell us more about how can a Hungarian band build up their success story in your region, and what was your experience about this? How was working with Hungarian bands, and if more Hungarian bands will approach you, what can you tell them what to do, what not to do?
Yeah, it's a the same for any other band from any other country, of course. But
Sure, because in the last few years I've been to abroad. I get some weird looks when I thought I'm from Hungary.
that's
Yeah,
all right,
not
all right,
because
all
of the
right.
music, because of politics.
Yeah, I
obviously.
know,
So-
I know,
so
I know, I know.
Are,
of
are
course.
people really judging, or even decision makers are judging bands based on where they are coming from, or it's not really happening so often?
We also book bands from Belarus, and they're actively touring. So, no, I don't think so. You might get some questions, but then answer them in a good way, and you're done.
Obviously they do it, but I had to ask it. And
No,
then,
I understand the point. I understand the point, and especially lately, of course, I understand the point. But no,
okay, so tell me more.
especially from my opinion, no.
Great. Tell us more then about Terz and Lazarus.
All right. I think Tursh is a very interesting case because we started working, via you, of course, together with the band, and we try to get them on the road with, in this case, Hiroshima, the Swedish band that is doing quite well. So we can get them into a new audience and exactly in the sweet spot of the genre, post rock. And yeah, with Hiroshima, that's a really good match. And with Lazarus, yeah, that's different because they have a longer history and they've been around. And yeah, it's just really easy working with them. And there's already a fan base for them around Europe.
Are they playing also headlining shows in your region?
Yeah, we do headline shows with Lazarus, and they did great. I think the first run we did was fall 2024, and I think we drew around 100 people at the shows. And yeah, now we are doing another run. We do it together with TB, of course. More across Europe. They did a show with Planet of Zeus in Paris. And then they will go across Europe, and they still have a good fan base, and they're doing great. They're promoting their shows well. So, yeah, that's the thing. But for other Hungarian bands, I think, like I mentioned, it's the same for other bands. I think there should still be a reason to go to the Netherlands or to go to Belgium, and I would suggest to first focus on showcases. To be honest, to first start there or start looking not necessarily into the Eurosonic showcases. But like a left of the dial, focus on these kind of festivals, or like try to get into Misty Fields or other places, or tour with another band like we did with Tursh. And I think that paves the road to eventually go into your own shows without having the complete responsibility of selling your tickets. So you can easily build it up. Don't go too fast, unless, for instance, with a single genre, that then you can do that. But I wouldn't go too fast in any way.
Okay, and if your band gets booked, you can do a small tour in the region. Just tell me a few typical ticket prices, fees, conditions, what they can get, just to be prepared in mind.
You mean like what the conditions will be?
When you're doing your first tour in the region?
Yeah, it could be anything. You can expect, in this case, a door deal, for instance, or like a door deal after 35 tickets sold. So the venue first earns back their cost for catering, hospitality, and crew, probably. Then you start earning, or you get a 200 euro fee or 300 euro fee or something. Don't expect immediately accommodation for it, because there's a big chance you will have to arrange that yourself. But if I compare it to different countries, like for instance, if you look at France or Paris, in this case, like where most of the bands play, like in the Supersonic or other venues, there it's very common to have 150 euros, no accommodation, no catering, and you can play. And you will like it probably, but it will cost money. And in the Netherlands, that's a little bit different. There's a little bit better fees. There's like a fair pay to play, that's going on here. So you will probably have like around 250, 300 euros for a show, depending on the club, depending on the size of the club.
Yeah, but that's already a really good start, because it gets you to the next city, at least, and then you can still sell merch.
Yeah, that's also true. So yeah, it's not too bad in the Netherlands. You will have you can get a good fee. You can have a decent fee, at least for a first time.
Okay, well, now tell us more about the future plans of the agency. What are you doing this year, and what are your goals? Because I know that first you started, as far as I know, you started as a regional agency, or maybe more focused in Netherlands, and then you started booking shows everywhere. So how is it going so far, and what are your plans with this, and how many people are working at your company right now? To just share us some details.
Yeah, of course. Like Eddie, I mentioned as well, the agency started mainly so for Benelux, like working with foreign artists, like via other agencies, and we just did Benelux, and we built up that trust in the Benelux. Since I think a year or let's say 1-2, we started to focus more on the European market. Because we worked on a lot of European tours, but just then with the Benelux market or sometimes France, and now we focus more on the European market. So we book whole European tours for artists, which also means that our roster, or our team is a little bit expanding, because like the core of the agency is Anna and me, but since we still have to focus on the Benelux market because it's a very good business for us, and we still have to focus also on the upcoming bands from our own region, because I think we have that responsibility as well as an agency. But now we are truly going into the European market and also beyond that in some cases. And as we speak, we're working on our first festival that we're going to organize in 2026. Which for us is really important because it gives us more a face, if you know what I mean. Like being a booking agency is not necessarily difficult because there's demand and you just answer it. That's what it is, and you do it for the right price. And for us, it's very important that we have like a clear vision, and like people have to see like, okay, where do we stand for? And with a festival, like as a concept. It will show that, and we have to add something more cultural than just booking shows everywhere and earning a commission on it. For us, it's very important to add something, truly add something. That's the core of what we do.
And this festival is gonna be in Breda or nearby.
I'll tell you all about it. Now we're truly in the works now, but we're organizing a new wave golf festival in Den Bosch in the Netherlands, which is the hometown of Jeronimus Bosch, who's kind of the inventor of golf on opium. It helped him quite a bit, but so we are going to organize it right there, and we're now working on it with different promoters, not necessarily just by ourselves and doing it like just the way we want to do it, but we are including multiple agencies, multiple people from the industry to truly create something special. And like I said, add something and try to stimulate the community as well, because like the golf community, which I find really interesting, is a very strong community, and we really want to give them a place with, of course, bands and the music that are important to them, but also we want to bring bands and gather them a new audience. We really want to work two ways. We're not just going to please the audience with the bands or with the artists, but it has to go the other way around as well. The bands have to gain a new audience there and find themselves in that community to get a stronger fan base as well. And then we will grow.
Yeah, and it's a club festival, or
it will be a club. Yeah, it will be indoor. It will be indoor, of course, somewhere in the fall, in the winter days. Has to be, of course. So, yeah.
Nice plan. Good luck with that.
Thank you so much.
Okay, would you like to share something else, or shall we jump to the questions?
I would love to go to the questions. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
No. Well, in some cases, of course, it helps to decide which cities or which territories to target, but it doesn't say anything, or at least not everything. Sometimes to be accepted in the booking agency, for instance, it might help. Like if there are like 400,000 listeners a month, okay, it will be easier. It will be easier to accept that, of course, because you can see the potential in it, but not necessarily that we say like, okay, it has to have this amount of streams before we start working together, because these streams could, if we say no right now, maybe these streams will come within 3 months, then we missed out. That's not how we work, at least. We work first the music, the people, then we decide, and otherwise we work towards these numbers. That's how we approach it. But for venues in the Netherlands, it's important in many cases. Yeah.
Well,
There are some, but not many, to be honest, with open calls. It's I just saw one. Like you've been there as well, Misty Fields.
that's
It's
beautiful. Huh?
it's an amazing festival, by the way. But they have one right now. But then it's like more into the contest approach, you know. So there are not many open calls like that, to be honest. I saw some in Germany. There are quite a bit, but in the Netherlands and in Belgium, not too much.
So by the contest, you mean that you might need to play in
Yeah.
satellite events before the festival
You-
to get in, yeah.
Exactly. You play a few months before the festival, 30 minutes for free with 8 bands, and they will decide whether you will play on the festival or not. So, really risky, and I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But no, there are not many open calls.
Okay, next one.
We don't really focus on any style, to be honest. Like, of course, like there's a preference from all the booking agents within the agency, of course. So right now, like we work with Aku and Aru from the US, which is a spoken word hip hop artist. We work with the Third Sound, which is a psych band, and we work with metal bands. It's like it's everywhere within our genre, and within with the agents, for instance, Dylan, the agent that works for us, he works more with psych, garage, post punk. That's his style, and he leaves it with that. But eventually, like within the agency, I think it's also important to have, for instance, 3, 4 bands within the genre, so you will be able to combine them. But it's also important not to have rivalry going on within the agency. I think that's very important because sometimes you have the case like 2 bands in the same genre are touring in the same period. They're going to play in Berlin. It can't be the case that we'll play on the same date in Berlin because then it's not going to work, of course. So no, we don't work with a specific genre.
Then I have one more. How is a band interview looking when you first time meet the band or make a call with them? What are the most important questions that you're asking for them?
What I will ask from them.
Yeah, before signing them.
Yeah, the plan. we have now. We
Be
have
more specific.
no. We have to get the plan, of course. But yeah, it's also for us very important to know what they have been doing in the past and what the process was of coming to this point in their career, and of course what their plans are for the releasing and why working with us in that case, which is very important because of course are we are they targeting us because they really want to work with us because of the work that we're doing, or is it like we're just shooting a mail to 100 agencies and we'll see what will bite, and that's more difficult to work with because that doesn't feel pure to us, that to work with
the same with the clubs, I guess. So
yeah, of
so you have
course,
to
of course.
send a bit of personal emails and see why your band fits there.
But most important, like I mentioned before as well, the expectations of the band. Like what we always really like to see is like the band is very structured and there's a team and everybody has a task. That's always the main questions that we ask, and that's why. In some cases it's different, but if we have a band meeting for the first time, I always prefer to be the whole band being there so we can get to know each other. I think that's like the first step of working together because, like I said, we work with your passion. We trying to book your shows at the right place, and we have to get to know each other because, for instance, if you don't hear from us for 2 weeks, still trust us, like that, So we have to get a connection together, and then we can start working. So that's the most. I think that's even the most important thing we will start from, to be honest.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And as the final question, just share out some really sweet stories which is success for you, or a special venue, or a special show. What was your favorite in the last 1 year?
Can I have a sec? That's a good question, to be honest. I'm going to think now. Honestly, it was not that long ago. I think it was Mother's Cake in the Netherlands. We booked them again for a tour after the album release, and they were pretty ill on tour. And we had some with our own band. We were playing, and we started missing a little bit of rock and roll in the live scene that we were. And then we met them again, Mother's Cake, and we thought like, okay, rock and roll is here, and just in front of us, within this guy. So that was for me. It was a very special moment again to see that and to experience that. Yeah, 100%.
Amazing energy.
And just show we didn't book, but I saw it lately. Blackberry Smoke, amazing southern rock band.
Okay,
loved it.
Send me the link.
I will do. Pretty famous.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so we are doing a short break, and you can also meet Davy in the lobby, and then we'll continue very soon. See you in 10 minutes.
Thank you.